What's up, everybody? It's Dan here from Headwaters Kayak Shop, and I'm back today with another review, the brand new Yellowfin 120 by Vibe Kayaks. I've been reaching out to you guys asking, what do you think I should review next? A lot of you have been curious about this boat, including some of you at the shop. I know Josh has been bugging me and Bill's been bugging me. Dan, go review that. We want to know more about it. So let's talk a little bit about the Vibe. So the Yellowfin is brand new for 2019, and it fills the $799 price point in the Vibe lineup. The Seagulls for 2019 went up. The 110 is now $899. The 130 is now $999. And the Yellowfin comes in just underneath that with a little bit more value coming in with the paddle. But it loses some features. It's rudder ready, but you can see here that it does not come with a rudder standard. Basically what they did here is they took their super popular Vibe Yellowfin 100 and they made it 12 foot. They changed a few things and added a few features. You've got the center twist lock hatch right here. Opens up with your little dry well, your Vibe gear that comes stock with your boat. Scupper plugs throughout the boat, again with a little molded in spot for a rod holder, just like on the 100. Tracks on either side of the cockpit here. Now they did go with the new top load gear track on the 120, which I think is a nice upgrade. Up here you'll see they did a front tank well with a little canvas cover, I guess. It has a nice spot to stage your paddle, so when you're fishing you can slide it under there. And then open access, so if you wanted to bring a cooler, a dry bag, extra equipment, you could put that right in here and then bungee it down for the day. But the other cool thing is if you have a dog or a kid that's riding with you, you can just park them up in the front and they've got their own little compartment to ride in. Let's just take that all the way off so you guys can see how big that is. There you go. Pretty cool, right? They also added more top load gear tracks here in the front. So if you want to add camera mounts or other things to your boat to accessorize it, you've got gear tracks all the way around. Also 4 gear tracks here in the rear tank well as well. And like I mentioned, completely rudder ready. So if you want to add a rudder to this, you can. In fact, our demo at the shop, we went ahead and threw a rudder on. We do feel like the rudder adds another level of control. And it's nice that this boat has come pre-plumb, easy to install. Other little upgrades you'll notice is the new handles for 2019. A little bit bigger, more room for your hand, softer on the hand. I will say, as I was carrying this down today, it seemed to have a little flex. I had it up over my head. The front and the rear ones feel really solid. I also will see as I paddle, is that gonna be a point to clip my hand on? I'm not sure, we'll find out. The seat on it is a single position seat. You see there's no high-low option. You've got one spot and it's kind of in the middle, you know, more towards the high as opposed to the low. So it is elevated up. I know a lot of you guys like this little elevated seat. We'll see how it plays into the stability of the boat. It definitely looks like it's gonna be comfortable. The seat folds nice and flat. That's a new upgrade for 2019. They put a new hinge back here. They reinforced the seat a little bit. Definitely feels like a solid upgrade in the seat. You've got tackle storage on either side, and I like this. They added this little tab in here, so when you put your boxes in here, they're not gonna slide out. You got a nice secure spot on either side of your seat there. So without further ado, let's quit talking and get this thing on the water and let me show you guys what it's capable of and what I think about it. First from the dock was nice and easy. I was just able to step right down in the boat. Foot pedals at 6'2". I'm at the last peg and I'm pretty ideal, but I tell you what, if I was much taller, that wouldn't fit me. 34-inch inseam, just so you guys have a little reference. So you have a little bit of bend in my knee. I mean, it's just right, but if I was any taller at all, this cockpit would feel pretty small. So if you're 6'2", or maybe you have a 35, 36-inch inseam, you may want to sit in it before you order it. I know you guys already know Abba. She's the boathouse manager out here, and the shop dog Kitchy, and she's leading a bunch of kids out. School group today. We do like a little kayaking club with one of the local schools. These girls are all, I think, 6th graders, and second year they've been part of a kayaking club with us, and they get their group out every year, and they come out and they kayak and play around. So cool to connect with these kids in our town and show them the love for paddle sports. So I went ahead and made my way across the lake just to feel out the boat and kind of gather my thoughts a little bit on it. And I will say it tracked really, really well. When you look at the whole design of this, it's got a deep V that runs the whole length of the boat with these really hard edges. We call those chines. And so that makes the boat want to track really straight. Even in the wind and stuff, it tends to want to go where you tell it to go and doesn't really want to veer off course. Now, because of that, when I'm in tight quarters, it takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more sweeping to get this boat to come around as compared to maybe the 10-foot counterpart, or even like the Seaghost 110 is a little bit more maneuverable. Now, yeah, it is a little bit longer, but I've also paddled the Crescent Light Tackle, which is 12.7, so a little bit longer than this kayak, and found it to be a little bit more lively, a little bit more maneuverable. Now, with that said, the seat position on this boat is elevated, so it's almost like having a fixed mid or a fixed almost high position. You sit up above the gunnels of this boat, and one would think, oh wow, fish everywhere. And one would think that would make that boat feel a lot less stable, but this boat has an incredible primary stability. It just wants to hunker down on that edge as you rock and roll. Now, it doesn't want to edge way over, like you get to a certain point and this thing's just going to want to go over. So what does that mean? It means up to a certain weight, you're going to feel super stable. Anything past that weight and it's going to want to kind of go over on you. So if you're a paddler, I'd say maybe, 250, 260, you're going to feel really stable. I think as you get up to 275, 280, that you're going to feel a little top heavy in this one. You're going to weight down those edges, and that buoyancy is not going to quite be enough to hold you up. The other thing I noticed is I was paddling back there in a little bit of wind, not a lot, but just a little bit. The elevated seat position definitely caused this boat to want to blow around more. When I was doing nothing, just carrying on a conversation with somebody, the boat just started drifting a lot faster than I would have expected. Just because I sit up a little bit higher in it. So I stopped for just a minute to check out the specs. I wanted to be sure that I was sure. This boat is 12 foot long, 33 inches wide, and a 400-pound capacity. Now, what does 400-pound capacity mean? That means 400 pounds before this boat is just sinking, basically. That's the max it's gonna hold. Vibe tends to be a little bit generous on their weight ratings. They do hold a bigger person typically, but I think 400 pounds is a bit of a stretch. They also say it's 65 pounds to carry. And although it feels pretty light, I'm guessing that the 65 pounds is without the chair in it, because I had it over my head and I would say it felt more like 75. Maybe I'll get it on a scale, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you guys know that and have weighed it and can put that in the comment section for me. But it did feel a little heavier than the 65 pounds that it says on the website. So when we're comparing this boat or talking about this boat, it is important to realize it's $7.99 and it comes as a package with the paddle. So we're not always comparing apples to apples or apples to oranges when we're comparing these kayaks. It does come with the paddle, but I will say the paddle it comes with is pretty basic. It's a pretty chintzy aluminum paddle. In all my videos, I tell you that if you're gonna be buying this kind of kayak, do yourself a favor and really invest in a nicer paddle. Something like an Aquabound Manta Ray, they're $149 with the carbon shaft, and definitely a significant upgrade if you're getting into the sport. I'm gonna ramp it up, give it some more speed here, and see how the top end speed feels. I will say this boat feels significantly faster than the Seaghost 110. And that kind of makes sense. If a boat's gonna be a little bit less stable, it typically should be faster. And this boat definitely feels like it has good glide, good tracking. A very nice, easy paddling boat. Not a lot of sparks or bells and whistles go off when I'm in it. It's a little slow to turn, a little uneventful. But honestly, for most beginners that are just getting into it, they're not looking for high performance or a boat that edges well. That kind of stuff sort of comes with time and maybe an acquired taste. Like once you know what that stuff is, then you care. But when you're just starting off and you just want something nice and forgiving, tracks well, and this boat definitely does that. It's going to reward a brand new beginner and make them feel like kayaking's easy. This cove is always full of turtles. So as I mentioned before, the seat is a little bit elevated up on this, which means when you're standing up, it's a little bit easier to get up and down out of the seat as opposed to a boat that sits real flat on the deck, say like a, I don't know, Feel Free Moken 12.5. That's also $7.99. A little bit higher seat makes it a little bit easier to stand up and down. You could still add a stand assist leash, which would make it even easier yet. But standing in it is, I mean, it's doable, but I'd say a little precarious. One thing I'll say when you're standing is there's a hatch right here. So your feet are kind of solid. Let me turn the camera down. So when I'm standing in here, you can see my feet. They don't have a lot of room to move. You have your one set position there, and that's about it. I feel a little bit of flex in the deck, but honestly not bad. Not near as bad as maybe like the Jackson Bite or some of the other ones that I've been in. But a little bit limited standing platform. I wouldn't even call it a platform. I would just say you do have a place to stand. Not near as forgiving as, I don't know, the Jackson Bite or the Crescent, but it's still doable. I think if standing is a big priority for you, look at that Seaghost for Seaghost 110 for $100 more. If you like the Vibe brand and you want to stay with the Vibe, $100 more for $899. You get a nice standing area, a little bit more room to maneuver around, and a little bit more stable boat for standing. It's not bad, but it's just not as good as some of the others. But again, if you're in lakes and you're paddling distance, the little bit sleeker bow, sleeker shape of this is going to cut through the water and glide and track a little bit nicer. Again, with the rudder on the back and the wind and stuff, this boat would be a really versatile lake boat. If you're in reservoirs or open water, I think this boat would serve you really well. The only thing I wish it had a high-low option. Being only in the high position means I'm going to get a little bit more blown around in open water, and it's going to be a little bit harder to paddle than it needs to if I'm just covering distance. I still like that low position of like the Crescent or the Moken in times like that. But all in all, for $799, really nice, versatile option. You know, Vibes are well made. They have excellent customer service. So definitely a boat I would not hesitate recommending. In fact, we have a ton of these in stock and we'll be getting more because this is definitely going to be a good entry-level beginner boat. Again, if somebody's looking at that Yellowfin 100 for $649 and they're willing to take that $150 jump, they're going to get a lot more boat for their money. More, you know, versatility, more ability to add more people, more tracks, more accessories, just a lot more versatile. So also, if you're looking at that 100 and maybe you're 220 pounds or something, bump up to the little bigger size. You'll thank me. You're going to have a lot better paddling experience. If you're on the smaller side, that 10-footer will probably serve you just fine. Final thoughts are this. You know, stability, I would give it a, you know, maybe a 6 out of 10. Pretty stable, but there's definitely more stable boats out there. Paddle ability, probably a 7 out of 10. It glides well, it tracks well, and it leans itself more towards that beginner that just wants something that moves through the water easily without a lot of effort. Stand-up fishing, I'd probably give it maybe a 4. It definitely doesn't have a lot of room to stand. You can stand and cast in it, but it's not really its designed intention. Comfort and ergonomics is nice. Your seat's elevated up. It's got a nice high back chair on it. I might recommend doing the full back life jacket because you do feel a little bit of the bar in the back. But all in all, it's a pretty nice seat. So I'm going to go ahead and give the comfort and ergonomics 8. I think it feels pretty good. The foot pedals feel nice and solid. The seat position feels good. It feels really nice. So overall build, overall impressions of the whole boat, I'm going to say a 7. And I say that because I think there's some other boats out there in this price range that are a little bit more compelling. With that said, there's some features on this boat that the others don't have. I think it's a really good option. And what I would say if I was you, if at all possible, get yourself on the water, try a few of these boats. So all in all, it stacks up there with my top favorite boats. But again, no kayak is perfect for everyone, so do me a favor, get on the water. And if you've paddled some of these boats, do us a favor and leave those comments in the comment section below. That helps other people gain a more educated opinion. So leave your review in the comment section and help out somebody else that may be in Kansas or Missouri or somewhere where there's no Vibe dealer. I don't know. Help those people out, give them an education. And thanks so much for being part of this community, guys. I love this channel. I love you guys for watching. And we really hope you enjoy this sort of thing. If there's any products that you see in this video that you want more information on, I'll have the boat, all the specs in the description. Again, we don't ship kayaks, but we're happy to send you to the people that do. And if you want to check out the paddle, the life jacket, or any of the other gear I'm using, I'll leave that in the description as well. And you can click to buy and we'll ship that direct from the shop. All right, you guys, until next time, this is Dan from Headwaters Kayak Shop, wishing you happy paddling. We'll see you on the next one.